Welcome to the latest episode of the Services Australia podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about tax time and what it means if you get a payment from us. We'll cover what actions you may need to take between 1 July and 31 October and tell you about a few common traps to avoid. We'll also share a quick reminder about scams. It's a busy time and it's important to know what official contact from us looks like. I'm joined by General Manager Hank Jongen. Hank, thanks for being here today.
It's a real pleasure.
Let's get started. So why do people contact Services Australia at tax time and what help are they looking for?
Okay, look, there are millions of people that receive payments from Centrelink, use Medicare online and, of course, engage with the child support. And basically, they want to know if they get a payment from us, whether they need to lodge a tax return in the first instance. Secondly, if they are expecting a tax refund, they often want to know their Centrelink payment information as quickly as possible so that they can lodge as quickly as possible for understandable reasons. But if they're receiving a family payment like family tax benefit or childcare subsidy, they also need to know what to do to balance their payment so that they can either receive an end-of-year top-up or supplementary payment.
So what do people need to do this time of year?
Well, look, you'll either need to lodge a tax return or advise that you won't be lodging a tax return with the tax office by the 31st of October. So the first thing to do, of course, is to work out whether you need to lodge that tax return. And the best place to start is my.gov.au and search tax time. From there, you'll be able to find a Do I Need to Lodge a Tax Return tool that will ask you some basic questions about your situation and guide you from there. From there, you'll also find a list of payments which are taxable, and you can then lodge a tax return or advise that you won't be lodging a tax return.
So we hear the phrase don't rush, but when is the best time to lodge a tax return?
Well, look, if you possibly can, wait until late July to submit your tax return because that's when your information will pre-fill. And that saves you time and will make it easier for you because all you need to do is just check the information that's pre-filled, make sure nothing is missing. Now remember, some taxable emergency and disaster payments won't pre-fill, they are taxable and you'll need to add them manually in your tax return. So my advice is lodge once, lodge right. Do you know that in 2024, 142,000 people who lodged their tax returns in July had to go back and correct them?
So what about if you don't need to lodge a tax return? What should you do?
If you don't need to lodge a tax return, then you'll also need to confirm your information with us. You basically need to let us know that you don't need to lodge a tax return. And that's important for payments like family tax benefit and childcare subsidy. So it's important not to ignore that simple step. And if you pay or receive child support, you also need to confirm your income with child support online.
So we've mentioned family payments a couple of times. When will those be balanced at the end of financial year?
Well, balancing starts from July for family tax benefit, but in relation to childcare subsidy, it starts from August. Now, the reason for that is we need third-party information from childcare providers before we can do that balancing. Now, well over 1 million people receive these payments and are pretty familiar with what they need to do. But families do need to confirm their income by either lodging a tax return, I can't repeat this enough, or by telling us that they don't need to lodge so that we can do that balancing. Now, most families will receive a top-up or supplement payment when we balance their overall payment.
So like you've said, try and leave it until the information pre-fills. What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make or the biggest traps that people fall into at tax time?
You know, the key one is that we often see scammers becoming more active at this time of year. So this is a really important reminder. Remember, we won't ask you to click on links, that's highlighted blue text, or attachments in either an SMS or an email. If we need to send you something, it will be by mail or better still through your MyGov inbox. If you're registered with MyGov, we will write to you in your MyGov inbox. You'll know it's genuine because it's behind the protection of the security that's built into MyGov. Now, scammers also try and impersonate government services. So the safest thing to do is to only trust information from us, servicesaustralia.gov.au, or MyGov, my.gov.au, or other established government services like the ATO, for example. And if you have got a MyGov account, make sure you create a passkey. Because that is the best way to use the security that's built into your phone and the security that's built into MyGov as well to protect your information. And remember, that means we'll only communicate to you through your MyGov inbox.
And I think it's important that we always reinforce that, isn't it? Because it is a busy time of year. And, I mean, the scams just come thick and fast, don't they, in your text messages and inboxes. I'm sure you've seen it as well.
Look, absolutely. We've all been caught by scammers at one point or another. And, in fact, there's, we even find that often if we use AI for information, it can actually draw information from fake websites as well as genuine websites. So again, trust the information in established government services like Services Australia or the Australian Taxation Office. And remember, if you're going to access your MyGov account online, key in my.gov.au yourself.
Great tips as always. Thanks, Hank. So I guess the main message is to wait, but if people want to get a bit of a jump start, a bit of a head start, what can they do?
Well, right now it's all about housekeeping. And I'd encourage you to make sure that you check your family income estimate that's been provided to us, because that makes sure you're not overpaid or underpaid over the course of the financial year. And remember, particularly if you're doing casual work and your salary varies, you can update at any time over the course of the year. You can update every fortnight if you need to. And the good thing is you can do it online through MyGov, or better still by using the MyGov app. The other thing is we don't deduct tax deductions from taxable payments by default. So if you think you're facing a possible tax bill at the end of the financial year, think about putting in place fortnightly tax deductions, because what that means is that at the end of the financial year, the amount you have to pay in terms of a lump sum can be reduced by doing that. And again, you can do this online through MyGov or by using the MyGov app.
That's a great idea, I guess, isn't it? Just to keep ahead of all of those sorts of things.
Sure. And in addition to that, of course, it's really important to make sure your address and bank account details are up to date, particularly in relation to Centrelink and Medicare. So it's a good time just to go through all of your details online and make sure everything is up to date. Because if we don't have your bank account details recorded, you could actually be missing out on some payments. And that's particularly the case, we know, in relation to Medicare.
And I guess that's another message we give out in this studio often. It's just keep your details up to date. Just check in regularly and make sure everything's correct.
Couldn't agree more. It's housekeeping time.
Housekeeping indeed. Thanks, Hank, for another great episode and lots of great information for us to think about. So that's all for this episode on Tax Time. Some key points to remember. Keep your details up to date. Take a moment to check your income information, and where you can, wait until your information is pre-filled before you lodge to help avoid mistakes. And stay scam aware. We won't ask you to click links or open attachments in an SMS or email. If you're unsure, go directly to servicesaustralia.gov.au or sign in to your MyGov inbox and check there. For more information and practical steps to get ready for tax time, visit servicesaustralia.gov.au or my.gov.au. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.